Hello, and welcome back to our time-sticking YouTube channel. My name is Jake, and today we're going to be talking about 8 different chimes that you can recognize on a wristwatch. So, stick with us through our intro, and we're going to be going down the list and sounding off about the subject. Now, it's not very often we use a list format like you'd find on sites like BuzzFeed, but we figured this way would be a little bit easier to wrap everything into a nice, neat package. So as I mentioned, we're going to break down 8 watch chimes that encompass hourly, quarterly, and down to the minute repetition. That's right, the world of mechanical watches has more than a few options when it comes to these repeating complications, or functions beyond time telling. Constructing them is like scaling down a clock repeater and takes a level of engineering prowess that can take a whole lifetime to achieve. So, without further ado, here are the 8 watch repeaters to keep an ear to the ground or to the wrist for. Number 1 on the list is the minute repeater. Now the word repeater itself is going to get thrown around a lot today. Just keep in mind that it essentially just means chime. Now minute repeaters are a traditionally popular chime. They're used quite a bit in mechanical watches. And a minute repeater is activated via a lever on the case. As the name suggests, it gives a chime that gives the time down to the minute. Hours are provided by a deeper chime. Quarter hours are noted by 2 tones, a smaller and larger hammer, like a double hit. And minutes round things out with the highest tone. So say the time is 4:39. You'd get 4 low hits for the hours, 2 double hits for those quarter hours that make the 30 minutes, and 9 higher tones for the 9th minute. It takes a figurative minute, but it's a classic eyes-free way to tell the time. Number 2 on the list today is the quarter repeater. Where the minute repeater goes down to the minute, the quarter repeater simply goes to the quarter hour. Striking similarly to the minute repeater, there's a low tone to count the hours, and double strikes for the quarter hours. If it's say 3:45, you'd get 3 low tones, a dong, 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 and then a ding dong, ding dong, ding dong for the 3 quarter hours. And yes, the onomatopoeias are necessary. Moving things along, number 3 on our list is the half quarter repeater. These repeater chimes are a sort of in-between regarding the quarter and minute repeater mechanisms we just covered. They go just beyond a quarter repeater by also chiming out any 7.5 minute passage of time, or half of a quarter hour. So it has similar chimes to the quarter repeater, but that adds an extra high ping to indicate if another half a quarter hour has passed. It's quite a unique one that rarely gets any kind of spotlight or used in a watch. Halfway through our list, coming in at number 4, is the 5-minute repeater. The 5-minute repeater made its first appearance in the early 18th century and keeps things pretty straightforward. 5-minute repeaters chime the hour, then follow with a higher chime that indicates how many times 5 minutes have passed from the hour. So, say at 1:55 there'd be 1 low tone for the hour, then it would ding 11 times for every 5 minutes that had passed from that hour. So, I'm not going to say those ones out loud, and it's not surprising that this particular minute repeater didn't remain too popular. Rolling in at number 5, we have the decimal repeater. Decimal repeater watches are heavily related to minute repeater style watches, and these chimes require a remote release from the wearer. Where slide lever releases exist now for all repeaters mentioned in this list so far, there used to be a release on the crown. That got a bit troublesome, so through the 19th century, virtually all repeater watches took on a slide lever. Decimal repeaters were no exception to this change and activated as such. Once activated, decimal repeaters sound off the hours, the tens of minutes, aka deca or decimal, and then the minutes past each 10. So say at 1:35 you get 1 low tone for the hour, then 3 double strikes for the 30 minutes, and then 5 higher tones for the 5 minutes past that 10. The decimal repeater is pretty close to the minute repeater, undoubtedly. And just for an added level of clarity, the repeater chimes can be activated on the watch to indicate the time, whereas automatic striking chimes function a little bit differently. Number 6 on the list is the grande sonnerie. Sonnerie in French essentially means alarm, and it's a bit of a hybrid movement. The name itself may indicate that it's a striking movement, but it's only sort of a striking movement. Striking movements chime automatically. Grande sonneries perform this function for the hour and quarter hour. However, they can also be activated like a repeater to indicate the hour on demand. The arrangement of the chimes on a grande sonnerie differ from repeaters. Instead of chiming the hours first and then the minutes, it chimes the minutes and then the hours in the same way that a quarter repeater does. So if it's 6:30, there will be 2 chimes to indicate 2 quarter hours passing for the 30, then a lower 6 chimes to indicate the hour for 6. It's not too dissimilar from a quarter repeater, except it will actually automatically chime those quarter hours for you unless you trigger it remotely. Numéro 7, or number 7, is the petite sonnerie. As one can guess, when there's a grande sonnerie, a petite sonnerie just means smaller alarm. These little strikers function almost exactly as their grand counterparts. The key difference is that they only indicate the hour at the top of every hour. Thus, the wearer only gets a petite chime on the quarter hours past the top of the dial. Or to put it another way, you only get to hear the hour once per hour. Coming in at number 8 on our list is something referred to as a dumb repeater. Now, the naming itself is a bit insensitive in today's parlance, but it dates back to the 18th century when these were first being invented. In old world phrasing, think deaf, dumb, and blind. Dumb repeaters are designed for deaf and hard of hearing folks. They began emerging in the watch market around the 1700s and have plenty of electronic counterparts to this day. Instead of making a sound, they strike blocks inside of the watch, indicating the hours and minutes via vibrations. Picking up good vibrations is easy with these repeaters, as long as you're actually on time to where you're headed. And oh my goodness, we made it through 8, but we do have a little bit of a bonus for you today, and it's referred to as the autochron. One of the first watches patented for the blind was the autochron repeater. Although regular repeaters could do the trick, this was the first attempt by a watchmaker to focus on blind clientele. 18,000 of them were released after their conception in 1930, and their existence paved the way toward talking electronic watches. Each one functions similarly to a decimal repeater. So as one can tell, maybe even just from this video today, there are plenty of chimes out there for everybody, regardless of your walk of life. More recently, a watch with multiple chime complications sold at auction for $31 million, setting the record for the most expensive watch ever sold. The Patek Philippe Grandmaster Chime, as it's known, contains a petite sonnerie, a grande sonnerie, and a minute repeater in one wristwatch. Engineering this watch is the culmination of 175 years of watchmaking from Patek Philippe, combined with the inventive spirit of much older watchmakers. Regarding chimes generally, we'd like to reiterate that these are pretty watch-centric complications. Unlike striking clocks that chime at regular intervals, these repeater-style chimes are more on demand from the wearer, excepting the sonnerie hybrids. These mechanisms date back to the late 17th century and onward. Eventually making their way to watches from clocks, they require hundreds of smaller parts to function on mechanical watches. Some of these repeating chimes are available in electronic watches, but it's a mark of true craftsmanship when a watchmaker puts their foot to the grinder on piecing together these sonorous watches. Hopefully the list we went over today and all the information that we've covered has been helpful in understanding how much masterful minutiae goes into designing even the simplest of chimes. And if you own a repeater or sonnerie movement watch, keep it in good repair. Without repeated maintenance, chiming watches can truly lose their song. Was today's information helpful? Do you have a favorite petite sonnerie or grande sonnerie or repeater watch? Let us know in the comments below. Hello, and thanks for watching our YouTube video today. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and you can find similar videos right here. For more new and interesting content from time sticking on our channel, please subscribe at the link here. And for more information about wristwatch repair and watch maintenance generally, you can find us at timesticking.com. Thanks so much and have a great day.